Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
Welcome to another episode of Teamster Power Reality Check. Today we're going to discuss Article 7, Local and Area Grievance Machinery.
Yeah, this is kind of a boring one. It's just kind of like
It is.
it's just
It's important.
Yeah, it's important, but it's just procedures and stuff mostly. There are a few things I'd like to see in this article, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. I'm going to read that first paragraph for us real quick. Except in cases involving cardinal infractions under the applicable supplement rider or addendum, an employee to be discharged or suspended shall be allowed to remain on the job without loss of pay unless and until the discharge or suspension is sustained under the grievance procedure. Notwithstanding the foregoing, any superior provisions in supplements, rider, or addenda shall prevail. The union agrees it will not reasonably delay the processing of such cases.
Yeah, and I've seen this happen, plenty of times.
Yeah.
I had to take two cases that, they were still working, like it's a working termination.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a cardinal infraction. But when they got down there, what they turned it into was something else, or what they tried to turn it into. But yeah, under 7, they can do that.
Yeah. And
the company wants to,
This is what they like to throw out, like the dishonesty stuff, when you don't sheet a package or something like that, like, oh, you're being dishonest, or, you're, the stealing time thing, you're being dishonest, because you did this or whatever cockamamie thing they come up with. And,
just to get you down there.
Yeah, just to get you down there, put you out. And then there's other times where, like, you have the, say you were, I don't know, say you missed stops or missed a business or something a couple of times in a 9-month period, and they put you out on intent to term. Basically, that's where you're on, like, a working termination. Like, you're on termination, but the company has to, take you down. They have to meet with the BA and discuss it. BA and them, or the BA and the labor manager, are probably not going to agree to terminate you or suspend you in whatever case. And, they'll take it to panel and, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's weird, though. I mean, like, an intent to term, they'll usually, they can't do anything. They usually can't do anything past that until there's a local, know? And they'll have the local and they'll decide. I mean, it's rare that something like that'll go to panel. I mean, it's happened, if they really want someone, right?
Yeah.
And if they really, they'll make that happen. But it's under a false premise, and it's crap, and it's what they do, and that's why we fight it, right?
Yeah, and this is another one of the things too, is like, this is where you go, just like with all the methods violations they've been disciplining with people from. This is the kind of hearing that'll come up and be like, well, what methods were they? Oh, the company didn't, they didn't say. And it's like, okay, well, then, how do we know all these methods are the same? What is, most of the time, that kind of stuff is not going to make it to panel unless you're a problem and they just really want to get rid of you.
Or they perceive you as a problem. You may not be, or whatever, but they just have it in them, right? They got it in their gut.
Exactly.
But that's you just gotta. I mean, that's why we gotta have good BAs. All that's why it's important to have good BAs who know what they were doing, right? So I mean,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the things that changed about this contract is now when these cases get down there, if they deadlock, like, there's an arbitrator that's supposed to be there.
For terminations, yes.
Yeah, for terminations. So that instead of it being deadlocked and then having to go several more months before going to arbitration, the decision can be made there, which can be good or bad depending on your situation.
Well, I mean, from what I'm getting, and the decisions coming out, companies winning a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not hearsay. That's fact, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and
I mean,
every every supplement's probably going to be different on your cardinal infractions, so you'll want to make sure you know what those are. Like, for instance, in the southern region, we had a nice new one given to us in this past contract. We've talked about at length before, but yeah,
3 no-call no-shows, and then your seniority is broken, which means you're fired. How the hell do we give him that ammunition? You know, like I said, I had spoken to our president about that, and he said, no, it's not a bad thing. Okay, right, it's not a bad thing, right? What they're doing is not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, what they're doing
Adding
is not a
another
bad thing.
cardinal infraction.
Yeah, what did we?
What?
I just want to know if we gave them that, what did we get for them? Because it doesn't seem like we got fucking anything.
Well, no, no, that's okay though.
Yeah.
The company got that, and we got fucked.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about that second paragraph there. Provisions relating to local, state, and area grievance machinery are set forth in the applicable supplement, riders, or addenda. To this agreement, supplements shall provide for regular scheduled meetings, such as meetings each quarter for the arbitration of points of order arising from discharge and suspension grievances, except those involving timelines or disciplines pursuant to Articles 16, 18, or 35 of this agreement. These meetings may be canceled by written mutual agreement. The procedures set forth in the local, state, and area grievances procedure may be invoked only by authorized union representatives or employer.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of straightforward, right? I mean, that is what it is. I want to read the next one. Okay,
go for it.
All monetary grievance settlements shall be submitted by separate check payable. Separate check payable. Let me repeat that, to the grievant or grievance, and a copy of the same sent to the local union for their records. Such settlements shall be paid within 10 working days. Okay, within the settlement. In addition, any monetary awards based on panel decisions will be made within 10 days, 10 business days of receipt of the company of the written panel decision. So basically, any settlement you get, you get that on a separate check payable, and
it may work.
You'd like for them to say,
It may work differently in yours, but like we get emails for our decisions that will have a date that says, "Hey, you're supposed to be paid this many hours by this date," and if and I tell my guys, it's like if that date comes along and they haven't given you the check, go ask for it. I walk in there and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to have a check by today. Do you have it?" No. Okay. The next day you come in, you hand them an Article 17 grievance.
Yep. Penalty, and you just have to notify them. It's important because that's come up. You notify them, and that's it. And then the penalty starts.
Yeah, just notify them. If you're worried about them being shady about you notifying them, grab another brother or sister, bring them in there with you. Just so you've got a witness. Something I would like to see, and I don't know if this would be the right article to put this in, but. Since it says specifically separate checks payable, I would love to see the grievance numbers put on the check stubs.
Yes.
Because when you file a lot of grievances, and some of us do, I would love to be able to match the grievances to the control numbers, and it would just make everything a lot easier on everybody keeping track of stuff. If you're filing enough grievances for that to be worried about it. And, some people in my building do. In the last few months, I myself have had some troubles doing that, trying to match everything up. So it's, it's just something that I think would make easier for the whole people. That way you don't have a member coming in and saying, "Hey, I didn't get paid for this check," when it's like, in actuality, the company combined 2 or 3 grievance checks into one check and sent it to you. So,
Oh, if what we used to do also, when you're the settlements you put into the computer, put out all the information there so there are no questions. So this settlement is inclusive of grievance number, blah, 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 blah. So all the grievance numbers that are involved, like a supervisor working, right? You put a bunch together. Look, they're all inclusive. They're right there for you to see.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like the control numbers to be on the checks from the company that the company.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I mean. Is I would like something put in the thing that says, "Hey, if you're going to give them a check with for a grievance on there, put the control number of the grievance on there." They've got all that information too, That's how they get. That's how they get the the information to give us the to pay us in that grievance check. Put the control number in there.
Hey, does it say that in the contract?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Well, I mean, that was something simple that could have been put in there, right?
I mean, yeah, it's something simple that could have been put in there, but we don't.
Maybe they have more things.
Yeah.
They had the cardinal infraction to get, to give the company,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it took up a lot of time.
Also, this last paragraph, authorized representatives of the union may file grievances alleging violation of the agreement under local grievance procedure or as provided herein. Timeline limitations regarding the processing of grievances is not set forth if not set forth in the respective supplemental agreements, rider or addenda, must appear in the rules of procedures of the various grievance committees, shall apply equally to the employer and the union and the employees. So for us,
OBO.
Yeah, this is for this is if you're a steward and you see something happening, if you see somebody. I don't know. You feel if you see somebody
that's
working
affecting people.
Yeah, people working out of what was a classic one? Oh, last year we had a bunch of drivers on layoff, and they were bringing in people from outside the building, outside domicile, to work. So me and a couple of the other stewards filed OBOs on behalf of all of our laid off drivers. Be like, hey,
everyone to get paid.
If we have late drivers on layoff, you should be using them, not bringing somebody in from outside the building to run routes. We have them right here.
Absolutely.
If you see somebody being harassed by a supervisor or a member of management, you're fully entitled to file. You don't even have to have that person's permission. If you see something happening that you don't think should be happening, you can file an OBO on behalf of someone else. And how I do it in the top where you write your name, I just put my name, Garfield Hooper, on behalf of whoever.
Yep.
And then I fill the rest of it out normally. So just keep in mind, if you're a steward and you see that stuff, like, you have the right to do that kind of thing. If you're any kind of representative for the union, steward, BA, whatever, you can file an OBO on behalf of other members of your work group, and
Yeah. Well, so we just that's stewards being proactive for the members, right? And even if on the occasion that a BA shows up to a building, then they do that too. Also, two things I just want to remind you of, as from November 15th through January 15th, per the contract, no 9.5s. No one filing 9.5s, and through January 15th. Also, November 15th through December 26th, off the street hires for the PVDs. They can be used.
Yeah, they can use PVDs if they're from the building, if they're part timers from the building.
They're already doing that. Yeah, they were. Yeah. But as of the 15th, the off the street are allowed. Yeah.
And then, of course, also 8 hours ended on November 1st, and they'll start back up on January 2nd, I guess. So.
Yes. And just, and they don't have to do any bids from, in the months of November and December. Yeah. So, that's just, some side things that you should know, little, dates that you should know of. So, make sure you get the 9.5s, until you can't do any 9.5s anymore. But, get them for everything, okay? For violating you and keeping you from your family.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. So, for Garfield and myself, everyone have a good night.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.